I'm Danelle.
And I'm Andy.
And we're parents and ministry leaders still learning to disciple not only the kids in our own homes, but the kids in our ministries.
So we're having conversations with innovative leaders who are fostering a strong partnership between the church and the home.
This is the Nurturing Faith Collective podcast. Welcome to the Nurturing Faith Collective podcast. It's so good to be with you. Hi, Andy.
Hey, pal. So we did it. We launched this thing.
Kind of.
Right. This is the teaser, right? The teaser episode for our new podcast, the Nurturing Faith Collective podcast. And really, right off the top, we want to tell you, here's what we're after, right? We're both parents. We're both working in ministry with kids, with families, and we're having conversations with other leaders all over the country all the time. We're asking questions about how to grow as parents, how to grow as leaders, how to grow as pastors as we minister to these kids, disciple these kids. And so we wanted to let other people listen in on the conversations. So that's really what we're after. And I think that what we're still trying to figure out is why in the world they are letting us do this.
I don't know.
I
think I know a little bit. One of the things I think why we were chosen for this endeavor is that we are graduates of the master's program, the Master's in Children and Family Ministry at Bethel Seminary. And the Nurturing Faith Collective is formed through a partnership with Bethel Seminary and GrowthRings and Entre, Niños, which we'll tell you about in a little bit. So I think that's why. And I think it's because we love to talk.
Absolutely. And, we're, like we said in the intro, we're both raising kids. We're both serving in ministry. So let's help people understand a little bit of like who they're on this journey with. So who are you? What's happening in your life? Are you married? Do you have kids? Tell us all about it.
So I am Danelle Schlichenmayer, and I live in Bismarck.
Sorry, can you come back on that?
Stop.
What was that? Because I think our
We've
listeners
been over this.
I think our listeners have seen your name on the bottom of the thumbnail, maybe, and they probably, like me when I first met you, didn't know what to do with all of those consonants. And so, I will just tell you, when I first met you, you introduced yourself. Mm-hmm. You were very pregnant, by the way, when I first met you.
Hey, rude.
No.
What? You're not supposed to talk about that with women. Okay. You were
the normal amount of pregnant when I met you, but I saw your name and I thought it's never going to happen. I'm never going to remember this. I'm never going to spell this the right way. And so from that day until today and moving on,
still today. Yes.
Yeah, still today. In my phone, you are Danelle Schlichenmayer. And so would you just rather the listeners wouldn't it be easier if they just called you Schlichenmayer?
I'd be fine with that.
No, you got this beautiful last name from your husband. Tell us all about your husband and your family. Okay.
So I married Luke for love, not for the last name. And we have a daughter who is 8. Her name is Eden. And we have a son who is 5, and his name is Jasper. And they are very different from each other, but also share the same attitude and sarcasm that I have provided them. And so life is never boring. They're really funny, and I love them a lot.
Well,
so what about you, Andy?
Well done passing down the sarcasm. I love it.
Hey, if that's the thing that I get to share with them, I'm fine with that.
Right. That and Jesus. Jesus.
That too.
That's what you want to pass down.
That's a given.
Yeah.
I guess.
Well, no, you left out one really great detail, which is that you're in North Dakota.
Oh, that's right. I am in North Dakota. It is snowing in North Dakota right now. And
which, by the way, tells you nothing of what month it is, right?
Well, that's true.
It could be April. We don't know.
It could be September. It could be any month. I guess we'll just keep you guessing. You'll have to guess when this was recorded.
Yeah. As an East Coaster, I know that you are one of the Dakotas. That's what I know.
Mm-hmm.
That's as much as I know
It's
about
kind of the more boring one,
you're
honestly.
the top. To be honest, you're in the top 2 Dakotas in the country.
That is accurate and geographically correct. It is the top Dakota.
So
But
I
Andy,
am.
what are you doing? Where are you at? Tell me about your family.
I'm in Richmond, Virginia, all the way over on the East Coast from the Dakotas.
Mm-hmm.
My wife Sarah and I have been married 11 years at this point, and we have 2 kids. We have 2 boys. So Noah is 9 and Carter is 6. Noah is a really sort of imaginative, creative kid. He likes to write. He likes to draw. He likes to build things out of Lego, which is where my whole paycheck goes, by the way, for Lego for him and for me. And then Carter is 6 years old, and we call him Carter Kaboom. You know, I mean, he's a little brother. He's always hurt. He's always scraped up and bruised. He always has a hole in his pants somewhere. You know, he's always dirty, like just always dirty under the fingernails. My boy loves to live outside. He cannot get enough of anything active. And so, yeah, those 2 kids having these different personalities, you know, similar to Eden and Jasper, different personalities makes for a whole lot of fun in our house.
Yeah, that's pretty
But
awesome.
we're not just and we're not just parents. We leave our homes and we go work at a place where we have chosen to work with other people's children as well. So what's your ministry context?
What were we thinking? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it's for the money. For the money.
Oh, okay. Yes, I must be that. I work at Century Baptist Church, and I'm the director of the elementary ministry, which means kindergarten through 5th grade here in Bismarck. And that means I get to do ministry alongside these kiddos, their parents. I have a stellar group of leaders that I just love doing ministry with. And I just really get to come alongside parents and help them disciple, get to help them with the hard conversations that their kids are asking them. And then they come running to me and say, I don't know what to tell them. And I say, I don't either, but let's figure it out together,
Right.
you know? So it's pretty fun. What about you, Andy?
Yeah, so I serve on staff at Crestwood Church, which is in Midlothian, Virginia, which is a little suburb. We're a great little neighborhood church, and so we draw from a couple of neighborhoods, so it's very familiar. It's very warm and inviting, you know, when you're there. But I serve as the senior director of family ministry, which means I predominantly work with our preschool and elementary kids and their families, and then we have another person on our staff named Austin who does our student ministry, but he and I get to collaborate and work with the families really of birth to college and help give them a vision for what it means to partner with us as we try and disciple their kids, try to introduce them to Jesus and help them just fall in love with him and really learn how to be like him. So there's no shortage of work. There's no shortage of energy needed to do this work. But here we are, you know, we're raising kids, we're leading ministries, and all of a sudden we get this request, we get this call. Well, you got a call, and then I got a text. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So you received a text message with no context. And all I said was, hey, man, you want to do a podcast with me? And your response was
1,000,000% yes.
yes.
Yeah. No
Just
hesitation.
all in.
I
I
could
love
not
it.
text back fast enough.
Really? And I'm very grateful for that because I mean, if you're going to do a podcast,
and it's
I got to do it with you.
It's not as though it was out of the blue. I mean, you and I, so we met, like we shared a little bit as part of Bethel Seminary as we were going through this master's program. And since leaving Bethel, we have kept in touch. I think you have certainly been, for me, a person who over the years I've been able to call, text, ask questions to, share funny stories. And just know, oh, there's somebody else out there who's going through this, who has the experience that I have, who's walked through the same program that I've walked through, received the same training. And so it has been phenomenal just to be able to ask you things along the way. And so it wasn't like, hey, I haven't heard from you for 5 years and I got this text. But receiving that text, I thought, I don't know how this started. I don't know where it's going. But hey, pal, if I get to do it with you, I am all in. And so this was not necessarily only from you, right? There's other folks involved here that we've talked about. But how'd this thing really get going?
Yeah. So I received a request from our professor, Dr. Denise Muir-Keesbo, who just said, hey, we're working on this cool
I feel as though
thing.
there should have been a big thing of applause when you said her name, by the way.
we
But anyway,
can
go
insert
ahead.
that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. And so she mentioned just the start of the Nurturing Faith Collective and how it is a partnership that is putting church and home together and trying to foster, a better relationship for better discipleship among parents, ministry leaders, and then also into those that we would call faith influencers. So anybody who is interacting with children or youth, no matter what they're doing, whether they're paid or volunteer, or they're a band teacher, or they're a coach or whatever. And so the whole concept of the Nurturing Faith Collective is that we wanted to provide avenues and initiatives that would help better partner church and home for everybody, for all of the people.
Yeah, and the podcast is not the only work that's coming out of the Nurturing Faith Collective. There are other teams that we work with who are writing curriculum, developing content. They're setting up coaching networks. They're speaking at conferences. Said very plainly, we had the privilege of coming through a seminary program with some phenomenal leaders, leaders who went through the program before we did, leaders who have come through since that we've been there. But they have these ideas and these things that they're doing in ministry context and things as parents that are incredible, that are absolutely changing the way that we disciple children. And so we thought, well, why not get all of those folks together and share those resources as broadly as we can? And so the podcast being just one of those. So we'll have some of those folks on the podcast in future episodes. We will certainly, in the first few episodes, have the leaders of these organizations that have formed this collective. So the leaders of Bethel Seminary, the leaders of GrowthRings, who, by the way, is a Bethel Seminary grad, and the leader of Entre, Niños. And so really what gets us, I think, the most excited is we want this podcast, which, by the way, I think it's worth mentioning, there are some really incredible podcasts out there in this world of families, children, discipleship. There's some great resources out there. I know for you and I, because we've had these conversations, that we'll go to conferences, we will go to gatherings with our denominations, we will be at lunch with other parents, other leaders, and oftentimes we'll ask questions. And I think if we're honest, we're unsatisfied with the answers because they're kind of like answers we've heard before. They're things that, well, I already know that. Great example would be I was at a denominational meeting some months ago, and I was talking to another leader, and I said, somebody really needs to write a book or publish something on how do you help a kid whose parents have decided to be a part of a church plant. How do you help that kid own the mission? How do you help that kid understand why they're the only third grader at their church when the church they left had 50 third graders? How do you help that kid? And I just was bringing up the conversation and asking the question. And I'll never forget, this leader looked at me and said, wow, what you got to do is you got to go be in their context. You got to go to their games and their plays. And I'm like, well, I know that, but that doesn't answer the question at all, right?
I'm already doing that.
Yeah, no, that's really good work, and you should absolutely do that. I just don't think that answers the question that I asked. And so, so what we're trying to do is bring on our friends, bring on other leaders who, like I said, we've had the privilege of knowing in one context or another. Bring them on, ask questions that we're already asking. let everybody else listen as we try to unpack these things and try to get to the bottom of some answers and find some answers that are both practical and tactical that we can apply today in our context as parents and ministry leaders.
Yeah, and we might not find the answers, but we hope that we'll be able to point you to
You
some
don't
other
have
people
all,
who
I thought you
I,
had
I
all the
don't.
answers.
I actually don't.
Oh man. Okay. I thought I was just going to like at Danelle. That was going to be my whole role in the podcast is just Danelle. What do you think? So
I'm sorry, I don't. I'm sorry.
No, we want to be honest. We don't have all the answers. But man, when we're at this thing together, and we're really trying to explore these questions and these tough parts of being a parent and being a ministry leader, a faith influencer, I think we're going to stumble upon some things along the way that are going to help people grow and be more effective in their role of leading and discipling kids. So that's what we're after. Where can folks find us after this teaser episode?
You can find us online, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. We will be available, so you need to subscribe, follow all the avenues, whatever one you prefer is great. But we're just really excited to bring you into these conversations, and we just look forward to learning alongside you. It's something that Andy and I have talked about many times, is that we don't have the answers. We don't have everything figured out. And we are still actively parenting. We are actively growing. We have the humility to admit we don't know everything, and we're not trying to be the experts in everything.
Right.
We're just here to bring you alongside in the conversation, as we would love to be brought in to other conversations as well.
Absolutely. So there'll be episodes all through this new year, all through 2025. Lots of exciting things coming. Like Danelle said, subscribe so you'll know exactly when a new episode comes. And we're going to be setting up ways for you to contribute to the conversations so we can get some of your questions into the conversations that we're having. Listen, like I said earlier, pal, I'm just so excited to be doing this with you. And I don't know that there's anybody else that I would have said 1,000,000% yes to. So let's go.
Let's go.
Hey, thanks for listening to the Nurturing Faith Collective podcast. We will see you next time.
Bye.